Yeah, I mean, Jofra bowled, I think, bowled better than his figure suggested in that first game. Brilliant start back into the Test team for him. So of course it's a slight setback, but good news is that it looks like he should be able to get himself fit and ready for the third game. So as long as he uses the next couple of weeks wisely and looks after it, he should be fully fit and ready to go for that from that point onwards in the rest of the series.
So in terms of options now for this Test, is it likely that you play Broad and Anderson together?
I can actually give you a 12 for the game if that helps.
That would help.
Yeah, we're going to make 4 changes. Jimmy, Jofra, Joss, and Dom Bess miss out, with Folkes, Ali, Stone, Broad, and Wokes coming in to make the 12.
So Ollie Stone comes in. That's significant. You confident he's got enough cricket, I guess, in the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, he's made the most of every opportunity he's had. He's certainly looking very good in and around training. And as with a lot of players in the current time and current climate that we're in, we have to make the most of the little chances we get to play. When you look at that squad of players, there might not be a lot of game time in there, but what there is freshness of mind, freshness of body, and a huge amount of excitement about playing. And I think that can count for a lot, especially in these conditions. That freshness can be really important to come into the game, attack your spell for 3-4 overs, have a real impact on things, and come out of the attack again. So I think that can really work in our favour going into this match. And you look at the way that we've picked the 12. We've got 2 ways we can go. We can have a similar balanced team to the last Test match with that extra bit of pace, someone like Ollie Stone, or we can have someone like Wokesy come into the fray and really capitalise on that reverse swing and control and trying to build pressure that way. So we'll make those decisions off the back of today, having a bit more information from looking at the wicket again a day out. And either way, I think we look like we've got a very strong squad for this wicket.
And finally, from me, you wouldn't have any concerns over Stone's lack of experience on this stage in these conditions?
No, whenever someone's at the front of their career, there's always going to be that lack of experience. But what he does have is he has a big heart, he has a huge amount of skill and pace as well. And will give variety within that attack if he gets the opportunity to play. So he's a very exciting young player. He's got great attitude, great head on his shoulders, and he'll be desperate to take his chance if given it.
Thank you.
Sam of TalkSport, please.
Hey Joe, how are you?
I'm good, Sam. How are you?
Good, thanks, Joe. Joe, this was always going to be a really tough challenge for England. Does this now, in a way, become even more tough with India being 1-0 down? We saw how well they bounced back in Australia. Does this second Test provide you guys with an even sterner challenge?
It certainly provides us a stern challenge, but it's not as tough as if we were 1-0 down. That is for sure. We're sitting in a really good position. We played brilliant cricket. We'll take a lot of confidence forward into this week. But we won't get ahead of ourselves. I think we're very understanding of how much hard work it's going to take to win in these conditions. We've seen that firsthand in the last week. Had to play a pretty much perfect game that time round. So we know what it's going to require for us to win. But that challenge excites the group. We know the game plan and what it, as I mentioned, what it takes to set things up and all the hard work that goes into it. And that all has to start again. We can't take anything from last week in terms of the performances. It's a blank canvas, and that hard work has to start from ball one, whatever it is that we end up doing. But it's an exciting group of players full of confidence, and we definitely need to make the most of that going into the week.
And do the players have an extra spring in their step, Joe, with fans being back in now over the next couple of weeks? Are you firstly happy with all the procedures in place, and how excited are you and the players for that?
Yeah, I think when you're living in these bubble environments, there's huge amounts of protocols and procedures that are there to look after everyone in the ground, and obviously the players and people within the bubbles. but the atmosphere within the ground is something that's test match cricket's been missing. So to have that back is going to be great. All of the players thrive off it. Having that atmosphere to build up those big moments within the test will be fantastic. And you come to a place like India, so passionate about the sport. That's a side of the game that you really looked forward to as a player. And it'd be great to see the ground hopefully nearly half full this week and beyond.
And last one for me, Joe. I know you've got a busy weekend and a lot on your plate, but it is Valentine's Day this weekend. I was just wondering, I know you're obviously away from home, but do you have any plans to celebrate it? And then other question would be, when life is normal, what is the perfect Valentine's Day in the Root household?
Yeah, I'll be sending some flowers to my wife. In terms of the perfect Valentine's Day for us, it'd be either a nice meal out somewhere in Sheffield, or I'd be cooking. So I really hope she doesn't hear this, because she'll be expecting it with all the trimmings next year. So hopefully this one slides under the radar.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Good luck.
Cheers.
Will McPherson next, please.
Hi, Joe. Could we just focus in on a couple of those changes? I wonder whether you could explain exactly what the thinking was behind bringing Mo in for Bess, and exactly how you've approached that. Obviously, that's quite a delicate situation, given Dom took 4 very important wickets in the first innings of the first test.
Yeah, it wasn't an easy decision. Dom's contributed fantastically well in these 3 games, and he's made a real impact. With him missing out, the messaging for him and moving forward is to keep working at that consistency of his game and delivering that skill time and time again. We talk about building pressure over long periods of time. And I think, as well as he's done, and the contributions that he's made have been fantastic, that's one area that he can improve on. But he is very young. He's very much at the start of things. And this doesn't mean that he's going to be pushed back down the pecking order. It gives him an opportunity to take a step out of Test cricket, the harshest environment, especially in these conditions, especially against a team that plays spin so well, to take stock and work at his game. And it gives Mo a great opportunity to come back into things with all of his experience, and someone who's bowling extremely well in and around practice. So it was a very difficult decision to make. I'm sure Bessie will be frustrated about it, but that's good as well. You want that competition for places. You want guys to be playing all the time and want to be in amongst it all. And that's certainly how he goes about his cricket. He's a wholehearted player, and I expect a response from him.
And could you just talk us through the Stone-Wokes dynamic for that? Looks like that's the sort of last spot going, those 2 playing for it, and why, what each will bring, and then I suppose why you've stuck with the rotation policy with Jimmy as well.
Yeah, we'll start with Jimmy. I think for Jimmy, it gives him the best opportunity to be fit and available for those last 2 games. Everyone's heart was in favour of him, being available for this game, but also you look at the bigger picture, and ideally, if he's available for 2 of the last 3, that's a huge asset for us as a team. The way he's bowling, obviously, his reputation, as well as his actual numbers and performances in the recent games that he's played for England. And with Stoney, that means that we could play with a similar balanced attack, someone that can come in and bowl at high pace, give us a real point of difference in our seam department. Or we could go down the route of Wokes, which will give us great control, lengthens our batting, brings reverse swing massively into the game as well. So we feel like either way, whichever balanced side we go with, we're going to give ourselves a really good chance of taking 20 wickets in these conditions.
And sorry, just finally, Joe, do you think Ben will be available to bowl more and more? You used him fairly sparingly, given you had a 5-man attack in the first test. Do you expect to get more and more out of him, because he can provide a bit of that sort of aggression and punch, can't he?
Yeah, he absolutely can. And I think he looks like he's getting fitter and stronger the more and more he gets into the tour. And we had to be quite smart about him in the last game. He looked a little bit uncomfortable at times, but the more and more he bowled in each spell, he looked more comfortable. So I think that he will go strength to strength as normal, as you normally see from Ben. The more he gets into a series, the more you get from him. And you can bet those big moments in games, he'll be the one that's is asking for the ball, trying to change things and make a real impact. So it's very exciting to think that there's a lot more from him to come still as well.
Okay, Rika Roy now, please.
Hi, Skipper. Good afternoon. Well, I have two questions. First is, of course, about, the IPL and you withdrawing your name from the IPL for a third consecutive year. We know Joe Root loves to play cricket and India loves cricket and IPL. Reason for that. And the second question is about, so many teams winning away from home. We've seen you guys win in India win in Australia, and then West Indies win in Bangladesh lately. How has this circle turned now?
Firstly, on the IPL, it was a very difficult decision. At some point in my career, I'm desperate to try and be a part of an IPL season, and hopefully a few more beyond that as well. It's something that I'd love to experience and love to be a part of. But with the amount of cricket, amount of international cricket and Test cricket in particular this year, didn't feel like it was the right time. I didn't feel like I could throw all my energy into it, which I think it deserves. And I don't think it would set me up, set English cricket up best with what's to come. So a very difficult decision, and hopefully next year that there's more of an opportunity to potentially be a part of the IPL, or at least be in the auction. As for winning away from home, it's been quite strange, really. You'd think with bubble environments, being away from families and in confined areas for long periods of time, it would work against you, but for some reason it seems to have favoured a number of the different sides that have been in that situation. So hopefully we can just keep going from strength to strength, keep trying to get on top early in the games and drive it forward from there. And we've got a very good atmosphere within the group. Everyone gets on very well with one another, enjoys each other's company. And that sort of family feeling, I think, is really important when you're living in a bubble for long periods of time.
Sindhu now, please.
Hi, Joe. Such a pleasure meeting you. Joe, my first question is, this test will see, fans returning to the stadium in India for an international match after a long time, ever since the pandemic. Do you think this will change the dynamics of the game? Yeah,
I do. I think it will improve it massively. I think having an atmosphere within a stadium is a massive part of international cricket. What makes it special in many ways is that interaction between the fans and the players. It makes those big moments, that noise and the build up. It adds to it all.
Right.
And obviously, when you come to India, we all know how passionate India is about cricket. It's a big part of life in many ways here. And we're very much excited about that. We all want to be playing on the big stage in front of people, enjoying their cricket as we are on the field, enjoying it in the stands as well. So, we're looking forward to that atmosphere and something else that's going to add to what is already started off as a brilliant series for us.
Can I just ask? Can I just interrupt, please, Sindhu? It's what I would ask, please. When whoever's asking a question, please mute your microphone after you've asked the question. It's no good somebody saying yes, yes, yes all the way through, because it ruins the audio for everyone. So please, once you've asked your question, please mute your microphone. My apologies. Thank you.
My apologies. Joe, I have another question for you. What's with your love for India? You made your debut here, your 50th match, your 100th match, and that too as a captain, scoring that double ton. So how would you really rate this double ton and the victory, as a part of your career?
Yeah, India obviously it holds a special part in my career for those reasons, really. Obviously making Test debut here, being a part of that fantastic series, and really learning a lot about Test cricket, learning how to play spin in particular, learning off some of the great players of English cricket, and watching some of India's finest players, guys like Sachin Tendulkar, MS Dhoni being a part of that, Yuvraj some brilliant players to study as a youngster. And then obviously throughout it's always been a place where I suppose I've had milestones in terms of 50th test and 100th test. And I suppose the thing that was really enjoyable about last week was how well the team implemented that game plan from start to finish. The way that we managed to get those big first innings runs we talk so much about. Obviously to contribute quite heavily to that was really pleasing, especially at the start of the series. And hopefully from that, guys can take confidence too, that they can take a bit from it and see Jimmy's performances with the ball, mine with the bat, Ben's all-round performance too, and think, I want to be a part of that. I want to be delivering those big performances that are going to really help us win this series and win series moving forward. So that's the sort of atmosphere you're trying to create all the time. And we've got the talent in the squad to be able to go and do that. So hopefully guys will be coming into this week wanting to make this game theirs and to be the one that stands up and puts in that big contribution that helps us win.
Just 4 more questions now. Srinjoy, Anshul, Matt and Rory. So Srinjoy, first of all, please.
Hey Joe, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So I have 2 questions. Like Ben Fox is all set to play his first test match since January 2019, and much like Kuldeep Yadav, we are hoping that Kuldeep Yadav will also play the second test. So how do you keep these players motivated and ready for whenever an opportunity arises? And second question is, like, suppose Ben Fox performs well like he did in Sri Lanka in 2018. So how does that affect your plans of including Johnny Bairstow for the third test?
Well, the thing with Ben is it was quite a unique scenario where he knew that Joss would be going home after the first test, so he's been able to prepare and get ready for this game for a good while now. In terms of keeping people hungry, I think just knowing that they're close to playing is you can't really replicate that. He'll be desperate to come back in and do well, and he's a fine player. In his own right, he's a brilliant gloveman. He's proven that he can score runs at test match level, and is a fine batsman. So really excited for him to get an opportunity. And that competition for places is what drives us standing high. For him to come in and hopefully do well and really have an impact on this series is really good for us as a team, because it means that everyone's going to keep working hard, trying to push the levels of one another higher. And, that's how you see a team grow. And I suppose the good thing about the environment that we've got is there's that genuine enjoyment of one another's success. You can see it on the guys' faces. You can see them working together as well in and around practice, and benefiting from sharing ideas, talking through different methods of going about situations and techniques, and that's a really exciting place to be. I've forgotten the last question you asked. Sorry.
So I was asking that, suppose like Ben Fox plays as well as he did in Sri Lanka in 2018. So how does that affect your plans of including Bairstow for the third test?
I don't think it changes much, really. Folks, he's here to keep. He's going to be our wicketkeeper for the rest of this tour if he stays fit. Johnny's a fine player and a fine batter in his own right, and he will come in as an option with the bat.
Anshul now, please.
Hi, Joe. Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi.
Hi, Joe. So my two questions are regarding the combination. So you have picked both Chris Wokes and Moeen Ali, who give you both batting and bowling. So how do you plan about that, and replacing the pure bowlers like Jimmy and Dom Bess? And second one would be how Virat Kohli came good with the bat in the second innings in the first test. So with both Jimmy and Jofra not playing, how do you plan to tackle him? Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. We've picked 12, so we can go with we can choose the combination that we go with. As mentioned earlier, we can have the same balanced side in terms of straight like-for-like swaps with Stone and Broad coming in for Archer and Anderson, or we could come or Wokes could come into things as well, which adds to the batting and obviously gives us a huge amount of control with the ball. So don't feel like we're losing out particularly with whichever combination we go with ahead of this week. In terms of plans for Virat, we know he's a good player. We know that he's going to score runs at some point in this tour. We've just got to keep him as quiet as we can. I think we went about things brilliantly in that first innings. Bessie produced a brilliant delivery to get rid of him. Moeen's played a lot of cricket with him, spent time with him, obviously in the IPL as well. But ultimately, we've just got to keep delivering our best balls time and time again. Keep trying to challenge his defence as often as possible, and try and build pressure on him. We know he's one of the world's best players, and he'll be desperate to prove a point this week. But what an exciting challenge for a bowling group to have already seen that we've dismissed him once early in the series. Can we do it again now? Can we collectively find ways of trying to restrict their whole batting group, but in particular big players like Virat?
Matt now, please, and then Rory is the last two. Thank you very much. Matt from Crick Info. Thank you.
Hi, Joe. Just on Moeen, I think it's coming up for 18 months since his last first-class game. Worry about throwing him in, or has he been bowling well enough with the group that you're confident he's in a good place?
Yeah, I'm very confident he's in a good place. He's bowling very nicely in practice. He's got huge amounts of experience, test experiences, and he's played in these conditions before. So that obviously will hold him in good stead ahead of the game. And he's a fine competitor too. He'll get himself in the heat of the battle, and we know that he can produce special things in an England shirt and in a Test shirt as well. So very excited for him to get this opportunity. He's worked really hard. He's obviously had a rough tour, had the rough end of it, having to deal with COVID and quarantining and doing extra time in his room. But since then, he's applied himself extremely well. He's worked very well with the other spinners, and been a very good senior pro in that respect. And I'm sure he'll be delighted to get this opportunity to play.
And quickly on Dom, if I can, how's he reacted to the news? Obviously, he probably didn't bowl as he'd have liked in the second innings, but I imagine regardless, quite a difficult conversation.
It was a very difficult conversation. It always is when you leave player out, but especially when someone like Dom, who's contributed so well, gives absolutely everything every time he pulls an England shirt on. It's been made very clear what he needs to go away and work on. And he's taken that on board. I'm sure he'll come back with questions, and I'm sure he will be disappointed. But that's what you expect from guys that really care, that want to be out there performing all the time for their country. And he's got a very good attitude. He'll go away, he'll use this time wisely, and he'll develop himself as a player. He's still very much at the start of his career, and he can use this as an opportunity to get better and take forward steps and improve himself. I think that's an exciting place for him to be.
Thanks. Just finally, Rory's let one go through to the keeper, so we've got time for a question from Krishna, and he's asked me to ask it himself. Captain, with the rotation policy in place, does it affect the
Look, I think it's really important that we go into every game with the attack that we think is best going to exploit 20 wickets and get the best out of that surface. Whether that comes down to freshness, whether that comes down to making sure over a series that guys are going to be able to get through the whole series, especially in how quick a turnaround these games are, the amount of workload that there is in this part of the world as well. You have to factor everything into it. We've seen since COVID, the amount of injuries has probably gone up around world cricket, and we're just trying to stay ahead of that. We're trying to look after our players. We're trying to make sure that guys can get through a test match and keep adding. Not seeing performances drop and dip off throughout. And when you've got guys on the sidelines like Chris Woke, Stuart Broad, Moeen Ali coming into this game, proven performers in Test cricket, that's an exciting place to be. And it's taken a long time building a squad up. Someone like Stoney, who's not played a huge amount of cricket, but has so much potential and excitement about what he can bring to the fore. It's taken a huge amount of time to build this squad up, and now we've got the opportunity to utilise it all and to have that freshness going into games like this. And they've got a great chance now to show what they can do in an England shirt.
Thank you very much, everyone.